Hi, this week I'm going to show you how to fit and glue in a fin box into a longboard. I want to run through the epoxy resins that I'm using. Now this is a epoxy resin called BRT. Now BRT is a special surfboard resin. So if you look on the box here, it says surfboard laminating resin. Optically brightened, UV stable, which is very important. Clear epoxy system for ultra wide surfboard and marine laminations. Now that actually says it all, doesn't it? I can just end the video right here. Okay, so what it actually means, it keeps your surfboard whiter for longer. I've got a board in the back here. It's got a couple of years on its back and I keep it in the sun quite a bit. I don't always protect it with a towel and it's doing quite well, I must say. So it's a good product. When I'm installing the fin box, I like to thicken the solution with some micro balloons. I just add some micro balloons, and what they actually do, they just thicken it so that it's not so runny. And then I can, for example, what I do is I fill up the gap between the board and the fin box. So once the fin box is in place, there's always this tiny gap that runs around the fin box, and I like to use it with micro balloons. It's quite cool because it makes the solution white, not clear. And then you have like a very cool contrast line around the fin box or your leash plug or even your round fin plugs for the smaller fins. All in all, it's a great product. It saves you a lot of time. It's easy to use and I just recommend it. This is how we're going to begin. How to fit the fin box. Here I have an example of a single fin on a semi-long board. We're going to measure out the fin. I have the fin box over here. I have a 7-inch fin. Then I have two smaller fins which are going to be sitting on the sides. And I have obviously the small fin boxes as well with a leash plug. So I'm going to start off with measuring out the fin box for the big fin. I've gone ahead and I've marked the fin box. I used the actual box itself as a template. So I'm going to use a Dremel to cut this out. I do have a stencil to cut it out, but I'm going to show you that it's also possible just to use the Dremel and do it freehand. All you need to be careful is when you get to the wood that it doesn't bounce on you and shoot into the glass. And that's what happens if you leave all your stuff lying on the board while you're working. It's obviously going to fall off. I've finished cutting the slot. I must say it got quite thin on the bottom section here. I ran out of material a bit because the board is not very thick at the back. The next step now is to mix some resin, pour it in there and set the fin. Here I've mixed some epoxy resin with some micro balloons. That gives it the white color. I'm going to pour it into the slot and center out the fin and keep the fin in place with some tape. The next step is how to center the fin. What I do is I put the board level, I put a spirit level onto it, and with another spirit level I measure the center of the fin. I do have some templates and stuff that I can use for this, but I've figured out that this is actually the most precise way. That works for me 110% every time. The last step that you need to do is fill up the gap between the board and the surfboard plug. Let it dry, then you take the tape off and it's ready for sanding to the same level as the surfboard. Sanding it down, you need to be very careful that you don't damage the fibers of the actual glass. So take your time Do it very, very steadily. Always watch where you're going. After everything is cured, obviously everything gets flattened with a sander, probably starting off with the higher 300s, going on to a 600, and then everything gets hot coated and polished, but that's another video. So that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, click that notification bell, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.